Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to talk about OSCP certification today, but more precisely we're going to talk about different commands that would be very useful for you for the OSCP certification. So I'm going to create a series of videos where I'm going to walk through different kind of commands that's going to be greatly interesting for you to know whenever you're going to do your OSCP exam or any other hacking pen testing exam. So let's get right to it. So the very first command I'm going to talk about is the export command. So it's basically, you probably have done it many times that you do like ping and you type some sort of IP address, but instead of that, you could create a variable by exporting some variable and say basically, let's just say my own IP address for the sake, and then you can basically just do ping IP, and then you're gonna call that IP. So by creating a small variable called IP and give it some value, you can just call it by putting a $ in front, and basically that's a very nifty, small, handy command to know whenever you're gonna, hack a lot of stuff for certification. So what I want to say about this is that if you open a new terminal, let's say this one here, and then you want to do ping.ip, well, it's not really gonna work because this is the instant of the version of the shell you're running. So the terminal window here is not the same terminal window as the one over here in the background. So if you want to have the same IP again just for this particular run, then you need to copy paste and do the same one more time. Now it is possible for you that in the end you can create a big script, where you just do a lot of things that is convenient for you, but keep in mind that this is something you have to do on beforehand because you will not have the time to do it during the exam. So the very first one is called export, and it's a very nifty common thing to have in your toolset. Alright. Next one we're going to look at is how to find the location of a file. So many times I heard people say, where can I find SSH to John? Yeah, SSH to John, if I can even type it, it's not really gonna pop up like this, So the problem is that you need to find a location for it, and if you don't know where it is, you can type locate SSH to John, and basically you're gonna get its location, and from that you can just use it. You can put this into your path variable, and you can even write it permanently to your path variable for that user if you wish to do that. Personally, I tend not to add stuff to my path variable because I know how it can go when sometimes you just on the run you accidentally make a mistake, and it's not really worth it to save just a one copy paste, really that's it. The next command we can look at is the command called which. So let's assume that you really want to know where some command is located, some binary. I say command a lot, but it's binary. Let's say you want to know where less is. Then you basically just write which, and then you get the less command's full path you can use. That is particularly interesting sometimes whenever you get access to some area, or you need to write to something, or you need to get whatever from this library path. It is just a nifty small thing to know. So I would say commonly which is used a lot when you want to know the full absolute path of a binary file. The next one we're going to talk about is the find command, and the find command is a very big command, so I'm really just going to focus on one thing here today. It's called find, and you say you're going to find everything from the root path, and you want to find something with the name of, let's assume it's called Pyth, and that would be Python, of course. And what you get is a lot of bad results. So let's see if we can do like, we're gonna divert this to div null that is going wrong, and basically not finding anything. So let's go ahead and try Python, and by writing a full word, we can find stuff that contains the word Python. Now, well, as you can see, it's not really containing, it's the full name, so everything that is exactly named Python you can see here. You know, the trick here I did is basically just to showcase that if you do not divert all errors to div null by using this notation here, then it will spam a lot on your terminal, which can be quite irritating to watch whenever you are, well, going to look for something. Scrolling through all of this, it's just no. So please use something like that. So let's assume you're gonna find some. Let me just clear the screen for you. You're gonna find something, and you know that let's assume bash history. It could be you want to know all the bash history files, and commonly you could try that, and basically you're gonna see that there are different kind of bash histories on this machine here. You got one on test, you got one in Kali, and some other one. I don't know really what that is, but it's another thing. So this is the way that you're gonna use the find command to find stuff, names, files, binaries. That is exactly what you type. Really nifty small thing to know, and I would really recommend that you use it in your OSCP exam. The next one we're gonna talk about is Netstat. So if you wanna show all active internet connections, this is the way to do it. Then you can see that you have, well, I don't really have any active internet connections. I guess I could, if I did a ping on google.com and then did it again, no, not gonna show. Yeah, oh yeah, it's not really an internet, that's a ping. How can I create a connection? Well, I cannot think of any way right now, just quickly, but you can see that you can see the active, you know, connections on the on your machine, and sometimes you would need to know who's communicating with who, or what is going on, what process is starting that's communicating with the internet. You know, could be a really interesting way to find out. So this is the way it's being done by doing the Netstat lntp command. Alright, so another small nifty command we're going to talk about today is the password command. Now, obviously I'm not going to, I think I create a user called test with test as password, and now I'm test. So if I do password on that user, basically going to change the password. So the current password is test, the new password is test, and it's going to be test again. And it has not been changed, so basically I'm just gonna say, can I not get out of this in some way? There we go. So basically we are able to change our own password using the passwd command, and sometimes it can be quite useful if you have access to something and need to make sure that the new password is something you know and not anyone else. Alright, so another really interesting Netstat command is to verify if something is running. So we could say, for example, whoops, let's just see, let's do Apache for this particular example. Sorry for that. So I need to be root. Okay, let's do that. Oh, I'm still test. Sorry for that. I need to exit. So let's do Netstat again and do the grep patch here. Let's see if that is running. No, we need to be root still. Sorry for that. And we can see that we have nothing running. So let's do sudo service Apache to start. And we can see now that I started the Apache server that we have something running here. It is listening on port 80, and basically that's it. So if I go ahead and say stop to my Apache server and go back and check, we can see that it is not longer something that is running. It could be particularly interesting for you to verify whether a service is running. If you have a certain hunch about something, maybe you have restricted access, maybe you can run the command. So I guess, you know, this command is going to be very interesting for you to know and to use. We did just start a service, but you can also use the systemctl, and you can say Apache again, Apache 2, and start Apache APACH. Can I not? Oh, it's reversed. Sorry for that. So you're gonna say Apache 2, and yeah, I'm gonna write the password for this Kali user, and then again we can just go ahead and see that Apache is still running. So that's another way of starting and stopping, you know, services, is by using the systemctl command. Wait, let's just stop it the normal way that I usually do it. So let's verify it's running. It is not running. So sometimes whenever you're gonna start some Apache server, you're gonna host a small web page, you need to do something pretty fast for your exam. You know, starting, stopping services just like that is another way that is really nifty to know. It's also possible for you to, now I'm not gonna do this because I have no services that I want to enable on boot, but if you do system enable SSH, for example, or any other command, it's gonna start that at boot. So if you want to, let's say you create a SSH script, a bash script, and then not a SSH script, a bash script, sorry, and then you put in some, you know, different variables and stuff you need and paths and make sure it isn't that, you know, that is a possible way to do it. Alright, so we did talk about this. Another very interesting command that I see a lot is whenever you're gonna unzip some file, a gz file, and it could be basically anything, this is the way you're gonna do it. So basically doing an unzip for the gz file is this way. Now, if you want to unzip a tar.gz file, you need to do a very interesting command just like this, and whatever, you know, file you have that could be interesting for you to unzip, this is the way you're going to do it if it's a tar.gz file. Alright, so next one we're going to talk about is you can execute this history command. Now I'm gonna su to my test user and clear screen and do history, and then basically you can see that, you know, I did several things all the time, and you could say that, okay, so I need to find something from my history about MySQL, and then you can see that I did do something about MySQL at some point, like right now. So let's do that again. With another command, let's do something I know. Let's just say tail, yeah. So I'm gonna grab something with tail, then you can see all the commands that I did at some point in time. That is still a part of the history file, and it's very nifty sometimes, because if you have no issue with having your password in clear text because it's a virtual machine you're basically using for a, you know, pen test purposes, and it's only something you can reinstall it, and it's all virtual, and no one really cares, you know, it's not a real job, it's just, you know, stuff you do or for an exam or something, then basically yeah, it could be useful for you. I'm gonna exit, so I'm gonna use this user again. Alright, so we got to the history, and also sometimes you download something, and they're gonna use that for wget, and you can see here, for example, that if you're using Pentest Monkey a lot, and I know I do, and you want to download some PHP reverse shell, now it's basically just writing wget, and it's going to download this exact file and the exact path to wherever you are. So I'm going to press enter. You can see that it is basically just downloading. Now that since I already had it, it's just going to save it to .1, so it's going to be the second version of reverse shell .1. Alright, so it's very nifty, and sometimes you pair it with, you actually start up your own Python server, and that's about it. What's also nifty sometimes is you're gonna do this curl, so you can say, let's assume you're gonna visit cisco.com, and then you basically crawl a website. Now, in most occasions, all of this you see here is the source code of, well, not in most occasions, it is the source code of the web page you're referring to through it. So it was basically cisco.com, but maybe you want to look for something, the word flag or something, or sorry, grep, or you want to find something from it that makes, you know, let's assume that we can do for the word router. No. Network. Ah, there we go. So I've got to find something that really worked on Cisco, and that's going to be the word network. So you can see that all the things you find, you know, popping up with the word network, this is a way for you to quickly just verify, okay, so does this page have something in the area of that I'm looking for? And if you are taking a certification, the OSCP certification, you know, sometimes you're looking for some sort of flag, using for some sort of word, a hint or something. Don't visit the web page in the browser and right click. You can do that, but you can also just do this. Sometimes it is easier to visit the web page in the browser and right click, and you can zoom at it and you can see everything in a bit more clear format. I gotta admit that looking at text in a browser like this is, well, in a terminal, it's a thing itself. It's for some special people. I'm not really sure if I'm a part of that special group of people that likes to view my internet pages in text in my terminal. But there are some who does. Another very interesting command that I would like to talk about is string manipulation stuff, because we have talked about, you know, you have a file. Let's assume that we have a file here. It's called dict.lst, but you really want to know the amount of lines inside the dict.list. Well, basically you just type wc -l and dict, and you get the number here of 222 lines in this particular file. It's also a way to use to verify whether, you know, does it contain anything, is it empty, is it about the size you need, and depending on the task you're gonna use at hand, this is just another small tool that could be used for some particular purpose at some point. Alright, so it could also be that you just want to see, but I want to see what's inside the dict file. So you do a hit command and you write it correctly, and then you basically get the first, you know, amount of, what is it, like 10, the first 10 lines outputted here, and it's what the hit command does, basically the raw use case of it. And sometimes that's going to be really nifty for you, just to verify, is this the right file I'm looking at, is it what's inside of it, you know, is it something useful, what's the header of a file, what is the magic bytes of a file, you know. If you go ahead and type dict, type and you do lst, you see dict let me just go back again. So type dict list, not found. Oh, sorry, it's not file. It's file. Sorry for that. Dict. Then you can basically see what type of file it is, and if it's a binary file, you know, it's something you might want to output to a screen to get the. You have, for example, here a shell.exe, so you can say file shell.exe, and you see that this is some executable one. So you could try and see head shell.exe, and you see that in this particular case it is jumble, but you do get this program cannot run in DOS mode and stuff like that. So this is a particular shell that I created for some purpose, and I don't really remember. But sometimes outputting the head of a file can be very useful. The same goes for tail, so you have this tail dict. So now you get the last 10 lines of whatever is inside this file. Tail can also be very interesting. It's the same as head, basically, so use it for your discretion. Sometimes you also need to say, but I really want to know all the instances of something. Let's assume we're gonna find all the instances of something in let's choose something. Let's take this shell.php5. So let's say grep. I want to find every time it says PHP in this file called shell.php5, and basically it's gonna try and find all the times that it's gonna say PHP5, sorry, just PHP in this file. And maybe you know that you're gonna look for something. Maybe you know that you're gonna look for something with zombie. So okay, so you're gonna find every word that's close or is the exact case of zombie or zombies or whatever way to express the word, but it's gonna be exact. So another way to use grep is exactly this way. Another nifty command is the one you're gonna use for decode encode base 64 here. You can type encode, and I think it's just let me just see. Oh yeah, we need to do echo hello, just like that, and then you pipe it directly to that. It's not encode. Let's just see one more time. So you can do decode, sure. It cannot encode. Encode to decode, it does. Oh, maybe you just I sent. So we're just gonna mention the word here. So base 64. So now you get your base 64 encoded string, and basically you say, but I want to decode this. So basically just say, this is what I want to decode. You pipe it to base 64 -- decode, and then you're gonna get the decoded, string. Some people really like to use, stuff like Cyberchef on the interwebs, but this one here, Cyberchef, and I also really like it. It's really easy to use. You just paste in the base 64 string, and you say from, and it's gonna, basically convert it, and it's copy paste, drag and drop. What's not to like? Anyways, this is the way you're gonna do it in a terminal. I think for this video I'm gonna cut it short now, because I already went through quite a lot of commands, and I'm gonna create a few more videos like this that's gonna help you to prepare for your OSCP certification. And I know there are hundreds of commands you can probably use for your OSCP certification or any other, pen test, cybersecurity, certification. However, if you get a good start with some of the commands, and you do that by watching my videos, it is not that difficult for you to further quickly understand other commands. And what I really suggest you do is that you do your work. So if you do, like, I want to work with a head command, so you write head, and basically just, okay, but is there some help to get? And there are some help to get. And you can also write man for the manual man help, and then basically go to the man pages, but there are no manual entry for help. Not help, hit. But there is a man page for hit, and then again you can go ahead and read all the different ways that this is gonna work, and this is probably the best way to learn in Linux, is to use the man pages, to use the help functions and read about it, which is also why I'm not gonna post a full list of commands you can just copy paste, because I do not believe in copy pasting like that if you want to learn. And this video is for me to you, so you can learn more about this stuff for your exam, because when you're gonna take the exam in OSCP, you really need to make sure that you are 100% ready for it and not gonna sit and look and fumble with your commands. So I hope you like this video, and until next time, I'm gonna say take care.